The Why Not Foundation. And we just want to talk to you.
Somebody's sister, a brother, father, a mother, a wife or a husband, a nephew, a cousin. They're looking for a little bit of love, hey. Somebody show them some love, hey. Why not you?
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Why not you?
Why not? Why not?
Why not you?
This is the Why Not crew, and all we asking is why not you? Come with the Why Not you. And on this occasion, give one donation, and you may not receive a standing ovation. Nah, your reward is so much better than that. No matter the black can replace the feeling of giving a second chance in life. The only second chance is price is your commitment. Man, it's your compassion. You can come and give it, there's no special form of fashion. Giving a child another chance to smile, just imagine. Or you can try not to. But if you see it, I'm asking why not?
Somebody's sister, a brother, father, a mother, a wife or a husband, a nephew, a cousin. They're looking for a little bit of love, hey. Somebody show them some love, hey. Why not you?
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Why not?
Welcome to a second chance. My name is Philip Jones. I got my co-host, my brother, Mr. Tifiro Cook, and our wonderful guest, Leslie White. How are you today, Leslie?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Mr. Cook, how you feeling today?
I'm
doing
feeling
wonderful,
pretty
man.
good. It's a good day.
Awesome. So we're gonna get straight into it. We're not gonna waste no time. Leslie, the floor is yours. Let the people know your story, and like I said, we'll come back and ask you some questions at the end.
Okay, sounds good. Um, Basically, I was born with a genetic disease called Alport syndrome, and I have two other sisters, and my oldest sister also has it. Um, I found out December of last year that it is to the point that I needed a kidney transplant. When I went into my nephrologist's office, he told me my GFR was 14. And so my sister actually went with me to my nephrologist appointment that day. And she was like asking the nephrologist, "Are you sure those aren't my numbers? Are you sure you're reading my records?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's your sister's, it's Leslie's. I have it right here, yours is right here." We were just blown away. Like, we were not expecting that. Because I thought, I felt fine. But then again, kidney disease slowly creeps up on people, and then it gets really bad. So he told me if he didn't know any better, that he would have sent me to the hospital right away to get, surgery to start dialysis. But he knew that because of my history that it was slow. And so what I did is I changed my diet completely. I followed a really strict renal diet, and I got my GFR to go back up to 16. So I was able to keep my GFR at 16% until I got a transplant. And basically I was listed for a transplant. I went to the nephrologist in September of last year. And then in December of last year, that's when I got listed for a transplant at Emory. And so after 7 months, I got my kidney transplant June 30th, so not that long ago. I'm still recovering from that, but I got a non-living donor kidney. And what's crazy is I had a friend going to see if she could go in the paired exchange program for me the very next day. She was supposed to go to Emory on the 1st, and I got my transplant on the 30th. So that's crazy. Trying to think of what else I could say. I got one other call for a possible transplant, but I was backed up for 2 people and I didn't get it. So that was my first So I felt like that prepared me better for when I got like the real call, like the kidney that I was going to get when I was primary. I felt like it mentally prepared me for that. So, and it did. I didn't freak out as much, but I did freak out a little bit. I was like, ah! I was actually working at the time. It was like 2:30 on June 30th, and I like rushed home. My husband was probably freaking out too. But yeah, I got my transplant and everything went good. Everything went smooth. I came home July 4th from the hospital. And then a few days after being home, I started noticing my arm pain. And so they said I have pretty bad nerve damage in my right arm. That can be a side effect of anesthesia from surgery. It could be from any surgery that you have. You could get that side effect from the medication they have to put you under. They say it's rare, but I go to physical therapy now, and the physical therapist said that she sees it all the time. So, but she is a physical therapist, and that's what she does. So, I'm trying to think. I go after 6 weeks and get my stent removed. I'm kind of nervous about that. It sounds really weird and painful, but they're like, we'll numb you up, you'll be fine. So we'll see. I'm sure I'll be fine. I'm just being a baby, but yeah. My sister, her husband's gonna give her a kidney. They're a match, so that's good. She is just on the list of being active on the kidney list to get a kidney. So she's just kind of waiting until she gets to the point where she's not feeling good, like she's feeling worse. Her GFR is I think 20 right now. So, but with my transplant, a bunch of people got tested for me to see if they could donate, and nobody was a direct match because I have high antibodies. I think my antibodies were 98%, which is crazy because I've never had a transplant before. This is my first one. I never had blood transfusions. I've only had one pregnancy, so I'm like, it's just weird, and they don't know why. Some people have higher antibodies than others, other than those things. So I was really bummed out about that, and the odds definitely seemed like they were against me, but I got blessed and I got a kidney and didn't have to do dialysis. Didn't even have to wait a whole year, so I feel very blessed. And I even got another call too for a kidney, even though I didn't get it. That's still like, oh wow, you know. So, all my coordinators and my transplant team are really great at Emory. I'm really happy with them. The medication that I'm on makes me really shaky. I noticed that, and I know that's a common side effect of some of the medications. I'm on Cellcept and Prograft, and then the steroid. And
What steroid are you on?
Prednisone, 5 milligrams.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I first got home, I felt really bloated, and I felt like I couldn't really eat much. When I got home, I really didn't need a full meal till a week after I was home, because I just felt like I didn't have any room in my stomach to eat, and I was getting sick all the time because of the medication. I was still getting used to it. I was nauseous. I mean, it was not fun, but I'm pulled through and I'm eating fine now. I haven't threw up in a good while, so that's good. I'm just waiting to see how much they can decrease my medication. I mean, I don't take a whole lot as it is because I'm pretty healthy besides just having, kidney disease. I don't have diabetes. I don't have high blood pressure. But when I'm really in pain, my blood pressure goes up, but that's normal. I just try to manage my pain with the gabapentin for pain for my nerves, but that really takes the edge off. I don't know what I would do without that, but that's pretty much where I'd stand right now. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, listening to the doctors, getting labs done. That's all I can do, and then just wait until they release me out in the wild, and then I can go out.
Did they still make you get a COVID shot and everything? Did you have to get a COVID shot before surgery and everything?
That's the thing. Okay, listen to this. I haven't had a COVID shot, and I'm glad I haven't, because if I would have gotten my COVID shot and they would have called me for a kidney, I would be disqualified for at least, I think they said 3 weeks or 3 months. So if I would have gotten my COVID shot and I got a call to be primary, we're going to have to go to the next person. So I'm so glad I didn't get my COVID shot. I can still get it, but I have to wait, I think, 3 months after transplant. So I can still get one if I want to, but I'm glad I haven't got it yet. But I did have COVID in November. So I think maybe that has saved me. Maybe I still have antibodies against it. So
yeah, your body built them up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's my stance on the COVID vaccine.
Let me ask you. I want to ask you one more question. What physical improvements after the transplant can you tell? Like, can you tell anything different, like energy wise or strength, anything like that after the transplant?
Well, as far as strength, it's kind of hard to tell yet because of my injury with my arm. I really can't use it, and I don't have strength in it. So everything I'm using my left arm for. But I feel like I do have more energy. I'm not tired like I was all the time. And everyone seems to think my complexion's better. Like, I don't have bags and dark circles under my eyes like I did have. And I noticed my legs have gotten a little thinner. Like, I was probably retaining fluid in my thighs, and I didn't even know. But, yeah. My stomach is still really swollen, too. But that's from, obviously, the transplant. So hopefully that'll go down soon.
And anesthesia. Anytime you have anesthesia and that stuff around your abs, it can bloat you also, but it eventually go down too. And you said you're on CellCep, Prograf, and 5 milligrams of prednisone.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I take CellCep and Prograf. I don't take prednisone.
Why is that?
Was your transplant center one of the non-steroid ones?
Well, at John Hopkins, my transplant was in 2007 at John Hopkins University, and honestly, I just don't do good with prednisone. It blows me up, makes me feel terrible. So they wanted me to take it, but I told them that it just doesn't do good for me. So with the CellCep and the Prograf, I'm doing well. Everything is straight with that. So I just don't take the prednisone. I don't like it. But I'm glad you're working. I'm glad it's working for you, though, because that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Leslie.
I was just saying that I know, like, I've seen a lot on the Facebook support groups how a lot of people, like, protest about taking, like, prednisone. It's so bad on your body and the side effects are terrible, but I don't feel like I have an issue with it, but
Good.
I don't know if they'll make me stay on it forever or if they'll take me off. I don't know.
Yeah, prednisone does different things to different people. Like, I never had an issue with prednisone when I had my transplant. Only thing that I had to deal with was the fact that I, ate every 3 seconds. So, but outside of that, I never had any issues with it. Everything went well for me. So I think that's just another sign that everybody's body is different, everybody's journey is different. It's not, we don't all take the same roads and avenues to get to where we are. So, it's like Cook said, he had issues with prednisone, but I didn't have issues with it. You're not having issues with it, but I do know some other people that did have issues with it, and so I think it's something that they need to look at to be able to tell before time to say, okay, well, this person, would probably do good on prednisone. This person wouldn't. Try to figure out a different combination, I guess, of medicines or whatever for those people to take, so they don't have to deal with the rejection and stuff like that from their organs. So, but I did want to touch on one thing you mentioned earlier. You said that your sister isn't active on the list. Why is that?
My sister, what?
You said your sister is not active on the list.
She is active on the list now. She
Uh,
just got active on the list. Like her GFR is just now like 20. So
mm,
she's eligible to get her transplant whenever she's ready. She's got her husband, her donor, so.
Good, good. And do you guys both have the same disease, correct?
Yeah, we both have all ports. And my dad donated her kidney back in 84.
Okay, so this is her second then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Her first one was in '84. That's a long run. That's good.
Yeah, she's had her kidney for 36 years, as old as me. When I was being born, she was getting a transplant for my dad. So that was
Mm,
crazy for my parents, having a newborn, trying to recover from
right.
donating a kidney, having to take care of a 12-year-old that just had a transplant. So yeah, it was crazy.
Let me ask you this: since they knew about your sister, did they figure you were going to have the same challenges with that same disease?
We really didn't know. I was never tested for it, but since she has it and my kidney function, they knew I had a kidney disease. They knew, something was wrong with my kidneys from a young age. So they just assumed that it was Alport since it runs in the family anyway.
Hmm.
But my sister and me are the only known people in our family that had it. We've asked everybody, and nobody knows of anybody else in the family with kidney disease. And I know a long time ago they didn't have the resources they did now to test for kidney disease, so they could have died and not known of what from.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that could have been unknown. But me and my
Hmm.
sister, yeah, we're the only ones that have it that we know of. So
As a pediatric, when you were young, what since they knew you had some type of kidney disease, what precautionary things did they do for you when you were young?
well, they never put me on any kind of medication or anything. I just had to go to a pediatric nephrologist once a year to get my labs done and just follow it and make sure nothing gets worse. So
Okay.
that's all I did.
No renal diet or nothing like that until you found out your kidneys were your GFR was really low at 14. That's when you started doing a renal diet, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, like I don't know. I never really. I guess I didn't think it would happen to me. I guess I was in denial. I guess because I felt like I was doing good. I felt fine. That my kidneys were fine. I didn't do the research. I didn't know that it could be a bad thing, and I not know. But I did a lot of research right when I found out that I needed a transplant because I was scared. And the more knowledge I had, the less scared I felt, and the more stronger I felt about everything. Knowledge is power. So
Yes.
it's definitely true. And
definitely.
all the support groups and everything I found on Facebook have really helped me. All the people that have helped me, and they're so kind. Everybody's so kind to help you in any way you can. I'm very thankful for everybody.
So, how old were you when you were diagnosed with your illness?
Um, I don't actually remember. I was really young. I was probably in elementary school because my parents noticed my hearing, started getting bad, and that's a
Mm.
sign. My sister wears hearing aids too, and then I needed glasses, and that's also a sign of all ports. So I wear contacts, glasses, and hearing aids since I was little.
Mhm.
So how was with that? After you got that diagnosis, how was life as a pediatric growing up with that?
Growing up with it, after I found out I had it, I didn't feel any different than anybody else other than having to wear hearing aids and wear glasses when I was little. That's the only thing that I felt like set me apart. Like when I was little, my mom would take me to see my nephrologist, but I mean, I knew why, but I didn't, like I didn't really know how serious it was. So I guess that's how I felt. I don't know. I wasn't scared. I just didn't want to go get my lab work done when I was little because I was afraid of needles. That's the only thing I remember going and nagging my mom not to make me. They're gonna hurt me, but I was fine. That's the only thing I remember really.
Well, Leslie, that's how you got your transplant is called fast tracking, where you don't have to do dialysis. They just get you together with a donor and everything, and honestly that's the best way to get your transplant. My first transplant was like that. I literally came off the college football field and I about 2 years or so I was transplanted and I didn't have to go on dialysis first. So that's how my first one was. But and that's good to get you transplanted like that. My sister was my first donor, so that was good to see. I'm glad to see you getting fast tracked. And you talked about also talking about non-compliant. I'm sorry, not non-compliant, but incompatible transplant, paired donation. You said that. You said you were about to get worked up for that. That's my second transplant was a paired donation one also, so I know about that. So are they talking about? So they is your sister got high antibodies? That's where I'm getting at with that because my high antibodies with my first one. That's why I had to wait for a long time and had to go through the paired donation situation. So does your sister have high antibodies also? Do you know from her
My
first
sister
transplant?
that has transplant,
Yes.
she did not, and
Okay.
I was like, how do you not have any antibodies? But I have like 98. I'm like,
Right. Right.
you're lucky. I'm like, you can pretty much get any kidney. And she's
Right.
blood type
Right.
B, so she can get B or O, but I can only
Hmm.
get O. So that really, being
Limits.
O and having high antibodies is like almost like the worst scenario
Right.
because those
Right.
people
Right.
wait forever usually.
Yep.
And I was like, the odds were against me for sure.
But that's good to hear, man. I'm glad. I'm glad that you got your transplant quick and you're on your way to recovery. But coming from my background as a personal trainer, I can might give you a tip. I don't know if you have any dumbbells, but you might want to do something with that arm, even though it's sore. You still might want to do a little bit with it because you don't want the muscle to degenerate. So you still
Right.
want to use it a little bit and, try to be active as possible with it, even though it's painful because, your muscles can, it can atrophy. And atrophy means it could die, because you still want to do some movement with it as much as possible.
Well, I mean, I do use it. I mean, I move it. It's hard for me to lift it. Like, I can't lift it, like, only so far. Like, I can lift it, but my, I forgot what that muscle, that nerve, that bone is called. Back here, it looks like my shoulder blade. It's
Hmm.
winging. It's winging. It's still
Mm.
attached to the bone, my physical therapist said, but it's a really bad case. So whenever I move my arm, I can feel the bone like sticking out. I don't know if you saw my
Mm.
picture on Facebook of my back of it winging, but
Mm.
it's like oh, not good.
Because that sounds like a tear in the muscle. How'd that happen? Was that because of the surgery or what?
Um, they think it's because the nerve is not working right, so it's not sending the muscles the signal to move right. So
Oh,
it's not having my bone do the right thing,
I
basically.
got you. I
So it
got you.
sticks out like really far, and it feels
Mm.
disgusting, and it hurts,
Mm.
and the
I got
pain
you.
goes down in my elbow and like up
Mm.
my arm. And at first, a few days after I got back from the hospital after my transplant, Like when I started getting that pain, I called my coordinator. It was a Monday morning, first thing, and I said, "Look, I'm having a lot of pain in my arm. I can't sleep. It's that bad." And she was like, I think you need to go to the emergency room. You might have a blood clot. And so I went to the emergency room at Emory, and I had a small blood clot in my arm too. And then the thing is, when I went to the ER, they did not a mammogram. They did an ultrasound on my arm, and they found that small blood clot. And after they found that small blood clot, it's like it's in here somewhere. They said the blood clot was likely from all the sticks and pokes and all the IVs in both of my arms, especially the right arm, because that arm has the best veins. So that blood clot is likely from the sticks. And then the nerve stuff is from the anesthesia. So after they found the blood clot, they stopped looking for other sources of pain because I told them that my shoulder hurt too, and my arm hurt, obviously. They never did an x-ray or anything. So I went home, and then it was still hurting, and they were like, if you're in that much pain, it's got to be more than a blood clot. And so my coordinator made an appointment for me to go to an orthopedic doctor, and that's when they found out. That's when we found out about the nerve damage. So, but this week I go to neurologist for that nerve mapping test. So.
Yeah. One thing I can always say that's amazing is, Phil can tell you, we've been in this world of transplants and kidneys and all types of stuff for years. And every time we hear a story, we're always learning something new and something different. And everybody's journey, like he said earlier, is so different than everybody else's. You can hear, it's amazing. You can hear 10 stories of people getting kidney transplants, and you will hear 10 different stories. And you will also learn 10 new different things. And I'm just saying, I'm learning now from your story about the nerve damage from the anesthesia. So that's pretty remarkable. So I didn't even know anything about that. So
I didn't even know it was a side effect of surgery either. I mean, it was probably less likely, but I was one of the less likely ones.
I remember you saying that. Yeah, that's something. Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely something new to learn because, cause I didn't know either when she told me the other day, and I was like, how does that? I'm still trying to figure out how does that happen? Is it something that they need to figure out that's within, the medications and stuff that they use to, put people under that they may need to take out because, even though it's a low percentage, you still don't want people just walking around with nerve damage and, things like that they have to live with, for a long period of time before it can heal itself. We get transplants to get better, and then I got to leave, with a new kidney, but then I'm stuck with this situation at the same time. That puts us in a bad position because I know Leslie was telling me, certain pain medications make her kind of feel kind of sick. So if I come out the hospital feel great with a new kidney, and I still got to feel bad because I have to take these medications that I don't want to take in the first place.
Mm-hmm. It's like I felt great leaving the hospital. My arm wasn't bothering me then. It wasn't winging then. That didn't happen until I was home. So I was fine after transplant. I mean, I'm still fine, and my kidney's doing good, and my incision's healing great. But this arm stuff is just a total setback. Like, I would be good to go at this point if it wasn't for my arm.
Right.
But I'm just going to physical therapy and doing my homework. So that's all I can do.
I definitely think you'll make a full recovery and you'll be fine. But another thing I learned from your story, saying, we haven't even interviewed your sister or nothing like that, but for her not to have any antibodies built up in her body from her first transplant is remarkable. You said you had 98. For my first transplant, I had 16,000 titers, and that's very, very high. So I had to do plasmapheresis. I did a lot of plasmapheresis so they can get my antibodies down so I could get a transplant. My transplant is documented with National Geographic. So I did a lot. So to hear her not have any,
I
that's
know.
that, and then you say her husband can just give her one. That's a great thing. That's good. That's good.
The only thing I think is maybe she doesn't have any antibodies because she had a transplant at such a young age and she was on anti-rejection medications from a young age, and she got a kidney from my dad, and they were a perfect match.
Right. That could
So
be it.
that's
That could be it.
so that's the only
That
thing
could
I
be
can
it.
figure. But
That could be it.
I've had 36 years to build antibodies, so
Right.
and I
Right.
did.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I researched plasmapheresis or whatever it's called. I did.
Plasmapheresis.
I can never say it right, but
Plasmapheresis.
plasmapheresis.
Uh-huh.
I did a little bit of research on that because I knew what I was up against, and luckily I didn't have to do that because it seems really intensive. Like
Plasmapheresis is painful. It's not like dialysis, and like the average person gets probably 2 or 3 treatments. On the other hand, I had so many. I got like almost a month and a half of plasmapheresis, like 50 treatments. And so that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I had a lot of it, and it feels like dialysis. What didn't feel nowhere near that. That plasmapheresis is a lot. So, but that's for another story. But I'm glad you didn't have to do it though.
Like, how does it hurt? Like, how does that done? Is it through like your ports or your?
So they used to use my fistula. They use my fistula, and the goal is to pull the plasma away from the blood and put new plasma in you at the same time. So when they would get done, they would have this big old thing of plasma that was mine that had my antibodies in it, and that's what they were pulling out while putting new plasma in me. And then they would give me a protein called cytogam. So my day was like 3.5 hours of plasmapheresis, 4.5 hours of dialysis, and then I would have to get 3 hours of another protein put in my body. And they did that for 14 days straight. Then they had to continue to do it more and more. So it was pretty traumatic, but that's
Was it
my story.
exhausting?
Very exhausting, man. It's like honestly, it's almost to the point where they're taking a healthy person and making them sick to erase their immune system and everything and put a new immune system in that person. And that's how it is. And it's brutal. I had to stay in the hospital almost 3 months for that. And it is challenging to say the least. And then with a film company, National Geographic, filming me at the same time, it was even crazier. So
I'm sure it was. Wow. I like you said, we learn something every time we do this, and I just learned something because I didn't even know what that was. When you said, I was sitting there going, "What?" So I learn. I'm learning more things every day.
Now, I hold the record at Johns Hopkins for having the most treatment for anybody ever.
Wow.
Wow.
Boy, you are a
Wow.
trooper. God.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna go to a commercial real quick. Let you kind of get yourself back together, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
welcome back to a second chance. We had a comment. This is from Jonathan Trailer. It said, "Hello, Philip Tifiro. Congratulations to you, Leslie. For those of you don't know, myself and Jonathan did a collaboration last month here on the Second Chance between Second Chance and Hope with Jonathan, and he was the reason why originally Leslie was supposed to come on because at the time she did not have her transplant, and I remember Jonathan called me. You want to talk about somebody excited for somebody getting a kidney? Jonathan called me and was like, "Hey, yeah, we're not gonna do the show this week." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She got the call, and I'm like, what are you talking about?" And he was like, "Leslie, got the call. She's supposed to be getting her transplant." And I was like, "That's awesome. That's probably one of the reasons why I would not be upset for not having to do a show is if somebody got the call. That's a wonderful experience. Like I said, I'm sorry that you had to go through it originally, and it wasn't for you. That's I know kind of a saddening situation I have to go through, but like you said, fast tracking. I the numbers out there for years to wait are ridiculous. Some places are 6 to 8, some are 7 to 10. I know it's 7 to 10 out here in California. I mean, I've been waiting 11 years, so on dialysis. So, but the time will come. I'm not worried about that. I'm just keep doing what I'm doing here and things like that, and with why not. So, but we definitely are very happy that you were able to get your kidney so fast. My first one was just under the same amount of time that you got yours. But at that time I was a minor at the time, so minors get priority on the list. So I got mine 6 months after I was listed. In 2006, I got mine in February 2007. So I definitely understand your joy because I thought I was going to be on it for a while. I've been battling this since I was 4 years old. So I went through. Reason why I always ask somebody who goes through um, kidney failure or any type of organ failure at a young age, how was it growing up? Because that could be something that you might not want to talk to your friends about. That wasn't something that I didn't really start talking about till I got to college. I knew like I had like 4 or 5 people in high school that knew of my situation because those are like my real close friends. So I didn't have a problem with telling them, but nobody knew why. They looked up and I was just gone. I had my transplant my second semester, my senior year, so I didn't get to finish that year. So I went back to get my diploma and stuff because I was still underage and was able to finish the whole year through. So I actually remember when I was in summer school the first week, there was a guy sitting across from me, and he was like, "Phil, what you doing here? Weren't you supposed to graduate? Well, did you flunk?" I said, "Did you flunk? Cause you in the same grade." I'm like, you asking me? I'm like, I have my reasons of why I'm still here. You have no reason why you still here. You just here. I'm like, but that was just kind of what I had to do because nobody knew, the actual reason why I was there, and it wasn't. I'm back here again in next year. So, I dealt with those things, but I know it's not something that all I guess you could say kids with the illness that can, technically take their life early to sit down and talk to their friends or younger people, and say, "Hey, well, I have this illness and it can cause this and stuff like that." Like I said, I didn't feel like having that conversation because I had to have it every month with my doctor. So it was like, I don't want to tell them. Plus, we all know this. Some kids are cruel. And so they hear that you dealing with something like that could possibly take your life. The first thing that they want to think about is a joke, And at that time when I was younger, I'm not afraid to say I had anger issues at that time. So, I'm like, I'm dealing with kidney failure, and I might have to go on dialysis soon. I was lucky because I didn't have to go on dialysis till I hit 16. So I didn't have to deal with those things. But is your sister currently on dialysis right now, or is she? able to go without dialysis.
Hmm. Did you ask me a question?
Yeah, I said, is your sister currently on dialysis?
No, she's not. She's trying to skip dialysis again. And it looks like she'll probably be able to because her husband's a match, so
Good.
That's good. That's excellent.
that's definitely awesome to be able to skip out on that twice.
Hmm.
Talk about proactive.
Right. Right. I mean, for her
Definitely.
to have her kidney for 38 years, like you said, that's pretty remarkable. So, we know these things have their challenges also, but that's good. I'm glad your dad was a great match to her and everything. Is your dad still around?
Yeah, he is. He's doing
Good.
fine.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
How's he doing health wise? Everything going well for him?
He has diabetes now, but he's managing it, so he's fine. He obviously didn't have diabetes when he was approved a donor a kidney.
Good.
It's something
Right.
that happened later on. So I was afraid I was going to become a diabetic because when I was in the hospital, they would test my blood sugar 3 times a day, and it was like high. And I would like freak out. They're like, don't freak out. This is normal for people
Right.
that are starting these medications and everything. And I was like, I always ask my coordinator, am I diabetic? She always said, no.
Leslie, how was your support system while going
Oh, I
through this?
have a very strong support system. My
Good.
family, my friends, even people I never met before in the community have reached out to me because I was in the newspaper. We had a fundraiser for me through a nonprofit organization locally, and that turned out awesome. And then I
Good.
also had the GoFundMe. And then when I got my transplant, my sister set up a meal train, and people have just been really giving, and it's been
Right.
really humbling. And I'm very thankful for everybody's help. So it's very, very strong. And the kidney community also for all the support and kind words through everything was really, it helped me a lot emotionally.
That's great to hear, man. I love that when it gives us more and more faith in people because when we hear people collab and support something like that, that's pretty awesome. I can honestly say I had a great support system as well. So that's good. I think that's part of the battle. But having a great support system. That's why I created Kidney Care Coaches, where we give people with stage 3 and stage 5 the tools to handle these challenges and also coach them up and make them let them understand that the support is there also. So that's good to hear.
It's definitely nice. I definitely never felt alone one time.
Good. Good.
Yeah, I think the support, whether you want to call it a group or a family, is next to the medications the most important thing that I think transplant patients have to go through. Uh, you know, uh, because when you have that support, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And to try to have to deal with the organ failure alone is not something I don't think anybody would ever want to do. Or at least I know for a fact that the ones that already have it, that understand it, wouldn't want to go through, alone. I think it's very important for people to uh, be willing to help somebody out. And I'm not saying necessarily like financially or anything like that, but just calling like, hey, you need anything? You need me to come, water your plants or take your dog for a walk or those things because we have those 2 to 3 weeks after surgery when we come home, where we really can't do much of anything. Can't go out,
Mhm.
anything like that, until they make sure that everything is going well, your recovery is fine, and things like that. So, um, and that the other parts of the getting out the hospital and stuff like that is that making sure that you're in shape before surgery, so that way the recovery process doesn't take as long. Because I know originally my doctor told me, 3 months basically before I could really go out and do stuff. And I think they gave me the okay a month after because I was, already in shape. My body had just kind of picked back up and kept on going. But back to the support from that's very important to have that because they're there to push you. So those days where you don't feel like fighting, they fight for you. They give you that hand and that love and that support to help you to push you to keep going. So that's very good that you had a great support family. That's awesome.
I would also like to help people that also have questions or anything in the community, family, friends, even patients. Any way I can help, give advice or anything, I would like to do that like everybody else has done for me and pass it on.
Right.
And hopefully they'll do the same thing because it's very
Believe me, you
inspiring.
will. You will. People will come to you because now, I mean, you're the expert of it now. So people will come to you when you least expect it, and you'll be able to pass that, pass it forward. And uh, just like Phil and I, we both know, we do this with a passion because we're on that journey. It feels like we're almost called to do these things, and you will feel the same way. And we all like getting stuff, but I think the feeling of giving is so much feeling so much better when you're giving that knowledge to Leslie. Believe me, when you least think about it, somebody's gonna come to you and be like, you're gonna need all the information that you have, that you obtained and everything, and you're gonna be so willing and so happy to give it because I think when people feed us and these things feed us, we feed everybody else, and that's and again, the feeling of giving, I can't describe it. We'd all like getting prizes and presents and things, but I can't describe the feeling of giving. It's just that remarkable.
Definitely.
Also, to add to what Mr. Cook just said, use your resources that you have as well. If it's something that you're not 100% sure about, go to somebody that's helped you. Say, hey, I'm gonna send, text so and so or message so and so on Facebook or whatever. To get that information from them. I mean, I'm here. Mr. Cook's here. I mean, the community in general is here for you. We're here for each other. So, if it comes to something you're like, I know a little bit by a little bit, and it's like, hey, let me go talk to somebody or get you in touch with somebody to get that information because, like you say, to be able to give that information to somebody, it feels good because now they know, they're knowledgeable in the information that you just gave them or provided them with, whether it's from yourself or from somebody else. So definitely use your resources and the people that have helped you to help other people.
Definitely. I remember talking to people and in the community and they would be like, I don't know the answer, but give me a few minutes and I'll get it for you.
Right.
They always knew somebody. Then somebody knows somebody else. Oh, I'll have this person call you. They know all about that. They're better at that than I am. So there's always an answer to be found.
Right.
Right. All right, Mr. Cook, you got any questions?
No, I think it was great meeting you, Leslie, for sure. I don't have any more questions, but I love hearing your story, and I'm glad you're doing well. And I wish you all the best, and your family and your sister as well. We probably love to talk to her one time, and see how she's doing also with her journey. But I have no more questions. It was great meeting you in this form, and continue on with your great blessings.
Thank you. It was nice finally meeting all of you. And thanks for having me on your show. It was very nice. It was fun to do. It was something I could do while I'm in the house. So that was great. Give me something to look
Right.
forward to.
Uh, Definitely a pleasure meeting you. To kind of piggyback on what Mr. Cook said, yeah, definitely we would love to have your sister on if she's willing to. You have my contact and my email and Facebook, so if she would like to, just let us know. We could definitely, set her up, to come on the show. At whatever the next opening is for us. I always like to end the show like this to ask you if there's one thing that you would want the audience to take from your interview, what would it be?
If there's what?
If there's one thing that you would want the audience to take from your story or this interview, what we talked about today, what would it be?
If you can, try to get a transplant before you need dialysis. Um, there's a million things you could probably do. Flyers, get magnets for your car, post flyers at your work, tell everybody you know. Social media is a big one. Go on podcasts, like interviews, like I am right now, and don't give up. Don't get scared and discouraged. Ask questions. Knowledge is power. Find your support group, and I think you'll be just fine, even if you do have to start dialysis. You'll get through it. And that's what I have to say.
Awesome.
Great,
Awesome.
great advice. Great advice. Great advice.
Definitely, definitely. Well, Leslie, we definitely appreciate you coming on with us today. We look forward to speaking to you, and definitely hope that the issue that you're dealing with now gets better very quickly. And I know Jonathan will probably be getting in touch with you to have you come on his show. I know he was looking forward to this, but he was kind of busy today, so he couldn't get on with us today. So, but we'll see you all next week. We have Tiffany Archibald coming on next week with us on Sunday. Uh, Two-time kidney transplant recipient, former collegiate basketball player at the University of Southern California. So you're not going to want to miss it. Mr. Cook, Leslie, I appreciate you both. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.